Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this afternoon. God damn it, still doing that.
It's fine.
To be fair, I was doing it for like 240 something straight episodes. So
I don't think anyone cares.
I care.
Well,
you're
only disappointing yourself.
Yeah, like every other aspect in my life. I am my own worst critic. Anyway, hi. I am joined by this afternoon by other host Sage.
Hi.
And I don't know if I said I'm me, but I'm Michael.
This is going great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we have a topic.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
That was so loud. I'm sorry.
In my endeavor of watching a lot of movies this year, I believe I said last week when we were talking about Harry Potter that I've been doing franchises because it's an easy goal to just like, here's a bunch of movies that I can just watch. And at some point it'll devolve into random movies that I haven't gotten around to. But
you know what franchise you should watch next?
Well, my current one is Rocky, but what? And if you say any of the other young adult movies, no. Not doing Divergence or Maze Runner.
No, you don't need to do those ones. Mainly because I don't like the Divergent movies, and I've never watched the Maze Runner movies.
I remember watching the first one. I remember liking it.
But no, I just rewatched all of Twilight this weekend.
Whatever happened to that Twilight rewatch you guys were doing?
Okay, everybody else was slacking off, so I just did it by myself, all right?
I don't remember you ever messaging in that group chat to get people together again.
I did. Anyway, I just rewatched it recently.
Let's go to the evidence.
This weekend because I was doing like a lot of cooking and stuff like that, and I like to have like something on in the background. And you know what? I still like those movies. 2, worst 1.
Sure.
New Moon, horrible.
I believe you. Trying to find that chat.
But I think it's just called Twilight Hose.
Well, yeah, but the fact that I still have been scrolling through this and haven't found it should show that you have not reached out in that group.
Wait, hold on. I'm in like probably way fewer group chats because I don't talk to people.
That's true.
So I'll probably find it faster.
I am in so many group chats.
Okay, why don't you start talking about
anyway,
whatever it's called?
So
Hunger Games.
Yeah. Hunger Games. I decided to do that because I've only ever seen the first and was like, fuck it. Sage was talking about it and I was shitting on Songbird and Snakes or whatever when...
Also, evidence. Last year on the 28th, I said, when are we continuing? ? February.
Last year in February. That is... you haven't followed up since.
Yeah, because everyone just gave up. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pester these people to watch Twilight because they don't care.
If you want anyone to do anything in this friend group, you have to bring it up more than once.
Yeah, but I also don't care enough. So, like, and I watch Twilight, like, every single year. Like, I'm really not missing out.
Anyway. I was giving Kat shit about Songbirds and Snakes. And because I was like, aren't those movies all bad? And she was like, no.
There's only... Oh, I'm
recapping what I see.
So
I was like, you know what? I will watch them and see if I am incorrect. And I am mostly accurate.
Okay, let me ask you this. What about it in general do you not like?
I think overall they are all very uninteresting and boring. I think a lot of the shit that goes on is not very interesting. Somehow they make death games kind of boring. There's just like, I get that it's like the buildup of a revolution. Spoilers for the Hunger Games movies, by the way. Not Songbirds and Snakes though, because Sage hasn't seen it, but I might touch on it a little bit, just non-spoiler.
I mean, Kat was talking about it nonstop when she went to go see it, so I'm not like that.
Okay.
You know.
Well, that might be slight spoilers. Anyway, like the political angle of the movies, I think is done extremely bland. And like, I get that it's a reluctant protagonist, but it's a reluctant protagonist in a way that's boring and not like interesting to watch her be annoyed about being in this situation. Her entire dynamic boils down to, I'm not the nice one.
I mean, that's
And it's
definitely true.
Like, get some more depth into this character, please. Like, it's just, I'm not the nice one. That's what PETA's for. We have to save PETA. That's all that matters. And it's like, please, anything more than these two emotions.
Okay,
and randomly kissing Liam Hemsworth for no reason, randomly, every movie.
Here's the thing. I think the we have to save PETA angle and all of that nonsense, that becomes way more annoying in the third movie, to the point where I could see it like literally tainting your perception of all of them.
Oh, I think
because it's so obnoxious.
But I have my
movie.
reviews and ratings prior to 3 for those two.
But at least for me, like that's
and 3 made 4 better.
Yes, I think 3 does help elevate 4, but 3 as a movie by itself, like when you look at it like detached from the franchise, is so boring.
It is.
Like nothing happens. And every time I watch it, I'm like, why did we make this its own movie?
Yeah, literally, my review for it was like, I have such a hard, like, because I hadn't watched 4 ever before. So, like, when I made the review, I was like, I have such an opinion that, like, I'm going to watch 4 and be like, oh, if they just made this one movie, it would have been much tighter.
It would have been.
But no, like, that's not a thing in 1, right? Like, where she's like, we must save PETA and whatever. She is still, I'm not the nice one. I don't talk to people. She still has that going on for her in the first. But, like, the first at least has, it's, to me, I think I still gave it like a 3. But, like, out of 5. Like, it's still, at least it has, like, the games, and that's the whole thing. And so, like, everyone else can kind of be enough for her to work off of. And really, I'm going to be honest here, the best character in all the fucking movies is Woody Harrelson.
Haymitch?
Yeah, Haymitch, best character.
Do you like Effie? She was like their guide, if you will, for like the Capitol and stuff like that.
She got a little better, but
Oh, okay.
I warmed up to her a bit more when she was like, we're gold. Like,
we're a team in the second movie. Yeah, that's cute.
Especially because their initials spell out team.
Oh, does it? That's funny.
I believe so. Yeah.
But Katniss starts with a K. There's no K in team.
No, I know. But
there's no I in team, Michael.
I know. Or they all no. What was it? I read a thing that was like. It
can't be that this spells out team.
I read a thing that it was like the whole thing is that they that it like makes up team. I don't remember now exactly.
Maybe if you take the letters of their names, but like.
When did she say that? What movie?
In the second movie.
Okay. Anyway.
When they're on the train going to the Capitol post reaping.
Okay. I'll look this up real quick, but anyway. That was kind of nice. Finnick, best boy, was super annoyed about his death.
Yeah.
I blame everyone else entirely. Also, the final movie just really makes you fucking hate PETA. And I know it's not his fault, but he's just really annoying.
Yeah.
And I get that it's like...
I know it's not his fault.
It isn't.
No, I know.
But like, it's just... What's her Coin, like, being a bitch and being like, I'm going to send him out when he's not ready, just so that way, hopefully, he kills Katniss.
Right.
But, like, he's just, it feels like he drags down the movie. Because he's so, like, he's so against the plot that it feels like it's dragging it down. And I get that's like he can't control his mind, like that's, but like in the way that it is presented doesn't feel like it is helping the narrative and more hampering the plot of the movie overall, not the plot that they're trying to do.
I think that is, I agree with that in that, like, but I think that's only a problem because it's 2 movies.
But he's not actively in the set in part 3. Like, I mean, he is, but like not with them.
No, I know, but I'm saying like if 3 and 4 was one movie as it should have been,
right?
I think the we need to save PETA whole shtick. And honestly, like Katniss with the constant like screaming, crying, tantrum fits, it does get really annoying. I'm like, can we let Jennifer Lawrence have literally any other material, please? Like, I get it. She's a really good actress, but she can convey more than one emotion. That is part of being a good actress.
Right.
And I think if you went and smashed those two movies together and made it one movie that was like maybe a little bit longer than the average movie, let's say like 2 hours, maybe 2:15, it would be a good finish to the story.
Oh yeah. Also, shout out to Jenna Malone.
Oh yeah.
Just stripping naked in the. You ever? There's apparently a whole thing that like that was actually just being filmed on location in a hotel.
Yeah.
And she thought it'd be fun to like actually see if she could strip down in 6 seconds. And at one point during one of the so she was just actively fully naked in front of Woody Harrelson, Jennifer Lawrence, and Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
But at one point the elevator opened at like a wrong floor, and there was just
like some guy there,
yeah,
right?
There's just a hotel worker there that just looked at her, and she just laughed, and the door closed, and she never saw him again.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that guy had to be pretty happy for his life that day. It was also really kind of a bummer that she just like gets super sidelined.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed her. She was like a nice amount of chaotic.
Yeah, and then she just kind of fucks off.
Yeah.
I mean, not by her own choosing, but you know.
Yeah. She kind of just gets
shafted.
Well, she gets tortured to the extent that she can't like function.
Yeah.
Apparently, I that was in the trivia where it was like, yeah, they don't really explain that, but she has like an obscene amount of hydrophobia now, so she just couldn't go. Something like that. Anyway, continue with your point.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think the biggest problem with 3 and 4 is that it does not need to be 3 and 4. It should have just been 3 final movie, you know? And because each movie has to fill up a feature film's worth of time. But the material that it's based off of doesn't give you. Imagine Lord of the Rings, but instead each movie was only an hour and a half.
Right.
You would be so dissatisfied because that's not enough time.
Yeah.
This is the opposite.
It feels like it actively was like, well, Harry Potter got away with it.
You know what I mean? Like it is the opposite problem of they have way too much time. They don't need this much time to tell this story.
Yeah.
And that's why it drags. I feel like especially 3 in the beginning of 4 is just a lot of like the same scenes kind of over and over again. So you're like, great, we've established this.
Yeah.
Can we move on?
There's also a whole point in 3. By the way, team is the first letter of all their last names.
Oh, okay.
Effie Trinket, Katniss Everdeen, Haymitch Abernathy, and Peeta Mellark.
Okay. I was going to say like
Spells team.
Yeah. But the first names I was really confused.
Yeah, you said that and I was like,
wait, you're right.
Yeah, and then I was like, no, but there's something with the names, but I couldn't remember half their fucking last names. So I was like, is that right? And I was like, but my brain went Everdeen, the last letter of the thing, and I was like, that doesn't fucking work. And my brain didn't work backwards to the beginning of the last name.
I understand what you're saying.
Anyway, that there's like the whole thing when she's like, they're like, we need you to be in these promos, and which, by the way, I think is such a I get that like revolutions and shit are won by media, like and public opinion. I get that. I know that's real, but the way they do it feels so annoying. Where they're just like, anyway, this film crew has to film you everywhere, and like we have to make sure we get a good shot, and it's like, I get it, but I don't need this. But anyway, there's that whole thing when they're in District 8, and they're like at that hospital.
Oh, with the bombing?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. And like she shoots down one of the planes, and the shot of that whole sequence is so weirdly positioned that it makes it seem like she shoots down that plane and it crashes into the hospital. Because then it cuts and she's on the ground and the hospital's in flames.
Right.
And you're like, You just did that. Why are you mad at them? And and literally in the movie, for the third movie's trivia, it's like so many people think that she did it, but no, hits the building adjacent to them. But you don't watch the bombs hit the hospital, so you make it think that she hit the hospital. God. And so I was like, literally, I was reading it and I was like, she just fucking killed all those people. And I was like, I had to have missed something.
And then you're like, she just did that, and then she's going on this whole long diatribe about going and attacking the Capitol.
So I was like, clearly she must not have. And I was like looking through it and I was like, oh, okay, got it. But yeah, that was just weirdly framed because they just look so similar, and like it's just like, I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird choice. No, I get what you mean though. Yeah. But it's like a lot of the interesting characters in the movie are the supporting characters, and they don't get a lot of time. Again, Haymitch, Finnick, I'm forgetting fucking Jenna what's the character's name? That girl.
Oh, I don't remember her name right now, but I know who you're talking about.
Surprisingly, the fucking singer, the designer.
Oh, Cinna?
Is that who? Yeah, Cinna.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. And he's a part of the rebellion, doing shit for like the doing stuff against them with the dresses. Mm-hmm. And fucking Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's just one of the most incredible actors ever. And sucks he's dead.
Rip.
Although, because the final line where Haymitch delivers that letter that's written by Philip Seymour Hoffman, because he died and he couldn't film that scene.
Right.
They do that scene really well, and it almost feels like it's better being delivered by Haymitch than him anyway, because it feels more in line with, like, he wouldn't give that speech. He'd be off doing something else.
Right.
But, yeah. Also, the fact that Katniss's fucking sister just fucking teleports into the middle of a battlefield and dies instantaneously.
So when I remember, like, the first time I watched that, I
thought she was hallucinating.
I was so confused because I was like, wait, when the fuck did Prim get here?
I was like, she's just seeing things.
When I recently rewatched it too, like, that scene came on screen, and this was like 2 weeks ago. So it's not like, I'm just remembering wrong, because I just watched the damn thing. And I was like, no, literally, where the fuck did she come from? Like, all these medics just appear at, like, a spawn point.
Yep. They're just there. Like, why would Prim ever agree to go into the middle of the battlefield? That was never her job. She's not a fucking combat medic. Like... Wait, and I get it's probably because Coin sent her, but like there's nothing that sets it up.
Right.
She's just there, right. And then she's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And Coin gets fucking sniped, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Snow gets ripped apart by the crowd.
I mean, you gotta. The humane way to take him out.
Yeah. By having humans do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. There's overall, like, I just think that the way that they portray the story is not done in a way that I find interesting.
Okay.
And like, again, I wrote it like in my review for the final, for part 4 or part
I understand what you're saying.
That I was like, maybe this franchise just isn't for me. Like, it just never clicked.
Right.
But I think that the way it goes about its story is generally uninteresting, and the main characters don't feel like they carry the story. It feels like they are being pulled along with the story.
Right.
Which, again, I understand that she's a reluctant protagonist, but it feels like it's being like that. Not that the way that it's presented feels like she's just being dragged along more than the character itself is being,
like, she doesn't have her own agency.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like it's not a within universe dragging. It just feels like a plot convenience dragging. And I don't like really know how to explain it much better than that. It's just something there doesn't click for me. And yeah, I don't know. It's what is the whole thing when she immediately volunteers as tribute, right? Everyone does the fucking thing. What's that supposed to mean? Because like it's not like it's something she did and then everyone starts doing it. Everyone was doing it prior.
So I think I've always interpreted, like, I never looked this up, and I don't remember if they say this in the books because I read them in middle school, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a respect thing or like an honor thing, because she's taking her sister's place essentially to go die, and so they're like giving her their respect and like honoring her, kind of like how you would like honor like a fallen soldier type deal. It's like I've always taken it to be that same vibe, and like the same thing happens in the second movie when they're on their tribute tour, and she talks about Rue, and they do the same thing.
Yeah, but then it took on like a rebellion context because that dude gets the shit kicked out of him.
Well, I don't think they knew that would happen. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think the guy thought he would fucking get murked and, like, be publicly executed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because at that point, it's, like... So, when, in the first movie, after she gives Rue that little, like, funeral when she gets killed... So, because the games are televised, so District 9... they see that funeral scene, and I think they do it then as well. But then once they see that Rue got killed and Katniss like honors her and gives her like a proper memorial for it, they start rebelling basically right then and there.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of like continues, and it has been a year since the first movie.
See, this is why you don't give your fucking most important resources to the people you treat the worst. Like, you're going to have your jewelry district be District 1 and, like, whatever be District 2. Motherfucker, District 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like, the best ones should be your coal, your lumber. Like, you don't have that shit. You don't have a fucking country to run. Like...
Yeah, but also, like, the whole point of... the games is to because pre-Hunger Games you had 13 districts,
right?
And then District 13 was like unhappy with how things were set up, and they were like, why are we out here doing all this extremely hard labor like for the capital and we don't get anything in return?
Right. No, and I get that. So that's what caused the war.
So they tried to rebel.
Yeah.
And then they essentially got nuked off the face of the earth. And then the Capitol's thinking was, okay, so this never happens again. We'll set up the games. And then two children from each district, you get to come to the Capitol. And then we get to watch you murder each other. Right? And then we'll televise it so that people really know we are not fucking around.
Yeah, no, I get that. But my point is, like, once they all start rebelling... The Capitol there's scenes where they're talking about how like they don't have any fucking resources, and it's like, well, no shit, because all your resources come from the people that are like, fuck you, we're not helping you anymore.
Yeah, nobody said they were smart.
Like and I get that like that is how that happens in real life. Usually, the people that are doing the real work, like the farmers and shit, get shafted. But like in this universe where you have districts set up, you would think like it would just be when they only do that one thing and you only get it from them, that you would probably want to treat them better because that way they won't revolt.
Well, the whole thing, especially with President Snow, his whole philosophy of ruling is through fear.
Yeah.
And prior to the 74th games, it's been working pretty good, you know? And the fact that even Katniss in like the initial reaping, her volunteering is unheard of. Outside of the career districts. Right. Nobody volunteers unless you're a career because you've been training your whole life essentially to win the game.
Which, by the way, all those careers fucking went out like bitches. It wasn't even really that hard.
I think because in the book, at least, because it's first person POV, we don't like get a lot. So maybe they were just like,
which also adds
I don't
to I know that it was a director's choice in the first one to have the movie a lot of handheld cams because it's supposed to be like the books from Katniss' perspective, so it's very shaky and uneasy because it's to show that she's like
nervous.
Yeah. And I get that aspect, but it also makes watching any fight scene a fucking nightmare.
I think that truly the only time for me, at least, that I think it works is pre-games where we're in District 12.
Yeah.
And then like during the reaping and stuff like that. I think that is very effective there. And then I wish they had transitioned into a steady cam.
Like again, I
for
get
the rest of the
why
movie.
because it's supposed to be like Katniss is just as jarring as this camera in this fight. But like, bro, I'd like to see what's happening.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I always think is very funny is Jennifer Lawrence. She's a very tall woman.
Is
and yeah, I think she's like 5'10".
Oh, okay.
She's taller than Josh Hutcherson.
Something.
I mean, for a woman, 5'10" is pretty tall.
Fair. She's as tall as I am. I'm like 5'10", 5'11".
There you go. But yeah, so she's pretty tall. And in the books, Katniss is supposed to be like a 5'3" shrimp.
Oh.
Where like, so her volunteering is like extra. She's not gonna make it, but her sister is even shrimpier.
Right.
You know? But like in the movie, because Jennifer Lawrence, they're not gonna be like, you know what, let's just cut her off at the knees. Because she's tall and she has like a bigger build in general. She doesn't like immediately, you're like, I feel like she could at least take some people. Like she could take like the really young kids that are unfortunate.
Right.
You know? But in the books, it's like, yeah, that girl has literally no chance outside of like using a bow and arrow. But a physical fight, she's done for.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like, I think the second game's premise wise is kind of interesting. Like the fucking arena that can fucking spin around.
Oh, with
and,
the
like,
different,
quadrants.
Stuff. Not quadrants, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, the like all
Slices.
set up by the clock or whatever.
Yeah.
Is fairly interesting. But there's also points where it's like these people are super dangerous and they get taken out so fucking easily. They're all just chilling on the beach for such a long period of time, like, and nothing's happening. And you're like out in the open and you're like, all right, so like, and I get that they're teamed up with like other.
But also, I think it's like a risk it for the biscuit. Like, okay, if we stay on the beach, careers. But if we go back in the woods, God only knows what hellscape is in there.
Fucking Peeta's just died.
Like
for a hot minute.
Yeah. Also, that scene,
and she does nothing to help.
I literally, that scene, I laugh. I feel bad for saying this, but like I laugh every time because Katniss is so useless.
Sure,
she's
is.
just like beta, and Finnick is like, girl, get the fuck out of here. Do some CPR.
Finnick rocks. He's carrying that old woman on his fucking back for like hours,
miles on end,
while running.
And then she's like, I'm a liability. I get it. Sayonara.
And, you know, good for her.
No, she has a very honorable death. But, like, you feel bad because I think she was his mentor.
Yeah, or something like that.
She was his mentor, and I think she was also the mentor for Annie, who she volunteered for.
Yeah.
Which later becomes his wife.
I also found out, and apparently it's mentioned in the books but not the movies, like, the whole deal with Haymitch, that, like, he won basically by accident. And as like and it became like a joke or like a fuck you, that people viewed it as a fuck you to the Capitol, so they killed everyone he knew.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so apparently
again, I read these books in middle school.
He was in the second quarter quell,
right?
In the 50s.
What, that was double
double
the people.
And he made it to the end with one other person, but they were both so injured that like they were barely standing, but he had backed up to where the force field was. And she threw a hatchet, and right as she threw it, he passed out from blood loss. And so he fell, and so the hatchet hit the force field, bounced back, and killed her. And so it was like people viewed it as like a joke and like made fun of the Capitol for having this like stupid fucking thing able to happen and like whatever. And so in retaliation, they killed everyone he cared about.
Yeah,
which
I
is
could
why
see that
he
happening.
becomes an alcoholic.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so like that's his whole thing. That's why he just fucking hates his life.
Also, how depressing do you think it must have been pre Katniss and Peeta winning for him to live in the Victor's Village by himself?
Is he? So he's from District 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is the only mentor because outside of the bitch from the prequel now, he's the only other person that won the game.
Yeah, but the bitch from the prequel doesn't matter anyway.
But you understand what I'm saying? So he's the only one out of District 12 who's won and still alive.
Speaking of songbirds and snakes.
Yeah.
Slight spoiler, slight not spoiler.
Sure.
It brings up the guy that made the games.
Mm-hmm.
Who's played by Peter Dinklage.
Okay.
And it turns out that him and Snow's grandfather were like kind of went in on making it.
Okay.
But Dinklage made the idea for it as part of like a school project that they had to do, and was like when he was like really drunk. And when he sobered up, he was like, "This is the worst fucking idea ever. This should never be a thing." But Snow's grandfather had taken it and submitted it. And like so that now it's just like been 10 years of him.
So it was a coinky dink?
What?
Is that what they're establishing? That the games were just like a whoopsie, didn't mean for that to happen?
Yeah, like because their whole thing is that they're supposed to have like these big projects at the end of the year that are like supposed to be how to deal with issues or whatever. And so,
okay.
So
theoretically,
so out of dealing with the rebellion, he drunkenly makes the idea of the games and writes a paper on it.
Okay.
And in the morning, he's like, "This is the worst idea ever." But unbeknownst to him, Snow's grandfather had taken it, put his name on it too, and submitted it. And so for 10 years, he's had to deal with this reality, and has just been dealing with it by getting unbelievably high and drunk. And the 10th year comes, and its viewership is barely anything. Nobody gives a shit about these fucking games. And so he's like, I can possibly end it. But Snow is constantly being the thing that's like, no, we don't end it. We can do this.
Young Snow,
yeah.
Not his grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Young Snow. Because his grandfather's dead.
Oh, okay.
And it's like this whole thing, the whole movie happens, whatever. Peter Dinklage has this big speech at the end about like that whole kind of thing. And I remember sitting there being like, wow, that would have been a way more interesting movie to watch than this. Like watching the guy think up the plans and all the shit that happened about that.
Right.
And like his life dealing
the
with
ramifications of his actions.
Yeah, and dealing with that.
Yeah.
It would have been a way more interesting movie than fucking What's-Her-Face and goddamn dude playing Snow being like whatever and dealing with all this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, because the whole point of that movie, it seems like it's supposed to be explaining how Snow becomes the person he is later on in life, but he's always fucking insane. Like, he's always nuts. So there's no real descent to madness or whatever. It's just he starts the movie at A and he ends the movie at A. The only difference is he's slightly higher up in a social standing.
Right.
Like
higher up on the totem pole.
Yeah. And he feels like he like fucking goes slight incel. Like that's all that really happens. He's just insane. And so like it feels like it doesn't validate its existence in a way that like, oh, I get now how he got there. It's just okay, well, he was always there. So
right.
what's the point of this? Like, there isn't.
Maybe I'll watch it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And fucking what's her face?
Rachel Zegler?
Yeah, is like whatever.
Does she win? Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
The games are like so fucking stupid. In that, like, it's just, it's so dumb. There's so much shit that happens. It's like, all right, whatever.
In this movie or in the games in general?
In the game. In that game.
Oh, okay.
In that movie, like it's just I don't know. It's there's a lot of dumb shit. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else. The ending of part 4, the 4th movie, where like they have 2 kids, 3 kids, right? Two older ones and a infant, Katniss and Peeta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is like kind of nice. I guess they just live their lives out in 12 in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I always think about that. I'm like, but where are they living? Because
I assume 12. It looks like the field, right? Aren't they by the tree?
But 12 got like fucking decimated.
It's been enough years for them to have like 3 kids.
Okay, she could have had 1, 2, 3 back to back.
Yeah, one of them looks like they were like.
But you know
they
what?
were both like running around.
I feel like
so they're old
if
enough
12
to be,
got nuked in the way 13 did, there's no way.
Nobody was living out in that field, so
Guess.
they probably were just focusing on the town.
They were like, nah, just in case.
Hell, an entire row of Victor's Row or whatever was still fine.
Oh, the Victor's Village?
Yeah. An entire side of that was all those
her
houses
house
were
is
still
okay.
standing.
That's true. That's true. Her house was okay.
But she just fucking starts screaming at the cat.
Yo, what the fuck? How is that cat alive? He's been eating the town.
He also made his way from fucking 13 to 12 again.
Yeah. The cat got lonely.
That cat's apparently the fucking... Put that cat in the Hunger Games. Fucking decimate.
Internal GPS is on point.
Yeah, like that cat would fucking kill everybody. Also, apparently in the books, the dogs from the first movie are all the dead winners. Mm-hmm. The dead
tributes,
yeah. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to use their corpses for something. Come on. They're being resourceful.
It's true. But also, like, I always think about, like, you know, like, if Rue didn't fucking die then, what? Like, what was the plan there? Like, all 3 of them were going to commit Sudoku? And, like, get away with it? There was no way they were all going to get away with it.
Yeah, I always think about that, too, of, like, what would Katniss's plan be post? Like, because if it ended up where it was just the 3 of them, right? But let's just even take Peeta out of this equation. Let's say Peeta got killed off by the careers.
Right.
And it's just Katniss and Rue.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Katniss would off herself for Rue to keep living? I feel like she would.
But she made it all the way there for her to then try to, like, get to her sister. Like, it feels like that she would feel that, like, would be betraying her sister.
I guess, but like she sees Rue as her sister, which is not as well communicated in the movie, I will be honest. In the book,
you just kind of take it as like a...
In the book, it is like way more like intense in terms of like how much she views Rue, because I think Rue is the same age as Prim. They're both 12. And that's why it's also unfortunate, because usually like when your first year in the reaping, your name is only in the pile one time. Right. So like you just got really unlucky because your name is only you only have one ballot versus like Gale. I think he had like
40 something.
Yeah, he had like,
which they also don't explain. Like they allude to why. Like it's enough to understand that it's like you can do a thing for food or whatever. Yeah. But like they don't really explain that.
Yeah, it that really is it. Like you can put your name in more times to get like grain or something like that. And I think every single year that between ages 12 and 18, your name gets put in. So like if you're 13, your name is there twice regardless.
Right.
If you're 14, it's 3 times. So you have a higher chance of being reaped when you're older, even if you don't do the food thing. But doing the food thing also escalates your chances.
Yeah.
So the fact that like Rue is 12, so her name is only in there once, she got really unlucky. And the same thing happened to Prim, but Rue didn't have anybody that would step up for her. That's why the volunteering again is unheard of. Also, no matter who you are as a tribute, like also nobody's volunteering.
She's not supposed to be good with a bow, right? Because like they're not supposed to be able to have that shit or whatever. Is that like that's why they always hide it? Like they go into the area that's like restricted, which also you can just do, I guess. There's no like patrols or anything that go by the restricted place to the woods.
So in the first book and in the first movie, it's restricted light, right? So yes, it's technically out of bounds, but like, you know, like when you're in school and they're like, oh, don't go into this room, but you can still get in.
Right.
You know, it's restricted light. There's no real lock or anything like that.
Right.
But once the rebellions start, it becomes hard liquor restricted in this analogy.
Right.
Full fat restriction.
Right. But again, then like, because they always hide the bow and arrows, so like she like it's her talent, but like she's never supposed to, like, people aren't supposed to have a talent like that because they're not allowed. They shouldn't be hunting or whatever.
No, in terms of when they get to the games and they're like in that training, because I think you get 2 weeks before the games, you get to be in the training room. They're saying don't show it only because you don't want to become a target.
Well, no. But I mean, like, in general, like, the only people that are supposed to have like skills are the ones that are the careers because they let them. Like, the people in the shittier districts aren't supposed to have skills.
Oh, yeah. So she has to hide the bow for that reason, yeah. Because outside of maybe, like, small game, you're not really supposed to have access to, like, big game, like deer or something like that. Because it's in the restricted area.
Also, PETA has super strength.
Yeah.
They're like, he just picks up that, like, 100-pound weight with one hand and fucking tosses it like it doesn't matter. Yeet! All because he could throw a bag of flour over his head, and you're like, okay.
Flour's heavy.
I know, but I think they even say it's 100-pound bag of flour over his head. But you're like, where is this coming from? Like, I have seen like Baker. I don't think they can pick up a 100-pound kettlebell with one hand and fucking toss it like 30 feet.
Yeet.
He also just starts fucking choking her the shit out.
Oh, in
when he gets back.
Yeah.
And it like destroys her.
Even
though he's fucking emaciated,
like annihilates her throat.
Like, man hasn't eaten food and shit in like months, and he could still just choke her out.
Maybe it's just that inherent strength and that like fight or flight on sight.
Yeah.
And he chose fight.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, yeah. In the poster for part 2, she has like the red suit. She never has that in the movie.
Yeah, we literally never see it.
Like, what why?
Maybe so it would look different from the posters in part 1 where she is wearing the black suit that she wears. I do like the red. I think it looks really cute, actually. But
she
like,
never wears it.
She literally never uses it
Like,
once.
it's never even shown.
Yeah.
Like,
my only guess is to differentiate from part 1 in terms of promotional material.
I guess, but you would think that, like...
No, that's too much, Michael. Don't be ridiculous. They already had the black suit made.
Yeah.
They just filled it in red in Photoshop for the promo.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, Gale.
I fucking hate Gale.
Gale...
From day one,
sucks.
I have been anti-Gale.
Gale
even
sucks
before
entirely.
the movies.
Gale always sucks. Again, the weird shit with, like, they always kiss once every movie for some fucking reason.
Yeah, because, okay.
It is really shitty on her part, too.
You have to understand. One, a part of, I think, at least in my opinion, a part of this whole, like...
There should have never been a love triangle.
Hunger Games does not need a love triangle, first and foremost. But one, it was extremely trendy at the time to have a love triangle. And if your main lead for a tween audience was a girl... You best believe she was having a love triangle, even if it made literally 0 sense. Even, like, I don't know if you ever read Mortal Instruments or whatever it's called.
Mortal Engines?
Mortal Bones, City of Bones. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Sorry, it took me a second
but
to get
also,
there.
fun bit, me reading.
Okay, you're right.
Know your audience.
You're right, sorry. But anyway, so there's a different book series called City of Bones, and it's meant for tween girls, and the main character is a girl. Mm-hmm. So she, of course, is in a love triangle, except the love triangle is between her dweeby, like, childhood best friend who later turns into a sexy vampire.
Okay.
I am not kidding.
Okay.
Or...
Good for him.
The hot, sexy, like, dark magic guy who also is or is not her brother. Again, I am not kidding. This is the literal, like, that happens for realsies in the. They have a scene.
Is he the brother?
Okay, it's very confusing because in book 1, no, and they have a kiss. Book 2, we find out he is her brother.
Star Wars.
And then they're all like turmoil, confusing feelings. Oh, you're my brother, but we kissed. Blah, blah, blah. And then like later on, I think in book like 4, they like say JK to all of that. That was not real. That was just a ploy. So you're not actually related. So whatever messy emotions you have, they're okay to feel again.
Okay.
It's a mess. Like book 1 through 3, I think are good. And then 4 just takes a nosedive in my humble yet correct opinion.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, so love triangles was extremely trendy. I mean, even Twilight has a love triangle. Any book that I think at this time...
Somehow Twilight's feels more real. Like, not real's not the right word, but like justified.
Because Twilight is romance novel for tween girls.
Like that
so
feels
it makes
more,
sense.
Yeah, it feels like it makes sense in the premise.
Yeah, it makes sense to have a love
like,
triangle.
Every time except for the very first time you see Katniss and Gale. Like, because you already immediately get that like they've known each other forever.
Right.
Every subsequent movie where they kiss feels like the biggest pity thing ever.
Do they kiss in the first movie?
I think they do.
When would they?
I thought at the beginning.
No, because in the
No, they hug.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. No, he just you get the vibe that he liked her, and then she kisses Peeta on it, and he gets annoyed about it.
Okay, so that's actually my biggest gripe with Peeta in general. With Gale in general is he. This is true in the books too. That he is like in love with Katniss, but just refuses to say anything. Ever. But then he gets fucking bitchy with her when she's kissing Peeta in the games for her own survival. And then she comes home and she's like, hey, look, I beat the odds and I lived. And he's like, you kissed another guy. I don't like you anymore.
Bitch, I did what I had to.
Like, hello? Can you get the fuck out of here?
But to be fair, she liked him already.
But here's the thing. Gale is all talk because I'm pretty sure his name was there so many times, right, in the thing. And like, if he really cared, he would have volunteered too.
True. If
he really cared, like he says he does, he would have volunteered too, and he would have let her win. But no.
No, because yes. But the reason he doesn't is to take care of Katniss's family.
But it's just like, bro.
Because like he grabs Prim and he's like, I'll take care of her. Like,
yeah.
and whatever. So like.
I guess he has his own family to take care of. But
it feels a little more justified.
Fine. But you know what I mean?
Because no one else would give a shit about Katniss's family.
It's true. But you know what I mean? Like, you can't be mad at this woman. And then when she comes back and she already has like messy emotions kind of for both of them, where it's like, okay, like I did have a thing for Gale, but I also just had this like deeply traumatizing experience that I bonded with this other guy.
Yeah.
So like, what am I going to do? And also like the literal president of the country is like threatening me and my family if I don't make it look like I'm also still in love with this other guy.
Right.
What do? And Gale is just so pissy the entire time. I'm like, can you take 2 seconds to listen?
Yeah.
Instead of just griping.
And again, but like then after like once the second, third, and fourth movie, every kiss it feels like the most pity kiss ever.
Yes.
Like and even he acknowledges it.
Yeah.
He's like, why do you keep doing this?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, that doesn't help. Like I almost feel sorry for him because it's just like he just wants this and you keep giving it to him, but not.
Because I think,
like,
at least from my perspective, I've always seen it as like Katniss being like, this is what you want, but like, we both know it's not gonna like work out for us. So maybe if I just give it to you so you can realize that this is not it, we can both move on.
Yeah.
And you can stop harping on it. But then after every single kiss, he just keeps fucking harping. So she's like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me. Like, obviously, I've not given you any indication that this is going to happen.
The kisses are a confusing signal, though.
No, I agree.
Like,
I agree. I do think
if a girl I liked was like, I don't want to be with you, and then kissed me, and then was like, I don't want to be with you, then kissed me, I'd be like, what do I do with these signals?
I think what Gail...
You're saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah, Gail just frustrates me and annoys me, and like...
It should have been him. He should have died instead of Finnick. Because after that, he doesn't matter.
I know.
After that whole... Like, when Finnick dies, he no longer matters in that movie, really. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been Finnick. Or, I mean, it should have been Gail. Finnick should have just taken Gail's spot.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Now his wife is fucking alone with a child.
Yeah.
Sucks. Finnick rocked.
Yeah,
I loved that guy.
Yeah, I really like Finnick. I can never remember the actor's name, but I really like he, especially in when we first meet him in the second movie. He does a very good job playing him. You know what I mean? Because Finnick is supposed to be like all charm.
Sam Claflin?
Claflin? Sure. But yeah, Finnick. He's
Claflin.
Sure.
Claflin?
Sure.
Sounds about right.
He's supposed to be all charm and, like that kind of like movie star smile.
Yeah.
That like really sucks you in, and he just does a great job embodying him.
Yeah. No, I love him. And it's funny too because like every person in the Hunger Games movies, not every person, exaggeration, but a lot of people in the Hunger Games movies that are blonde are actually brunette, and a lot of people that are brunette are actually blonde.
I know, it's really funny. I remember
everyone had to like swap their hair dyes.
I think
also apparently because of how many times Jennifer Lawrence had to dye her hair like was so bad that she cut a lot of it off, and so she was wearing a $30,000 wig in part 3.
I thought she had a wig for part 2, and that's why her hair was so dark.
No, I believe that was a fact that I read in 3.
Oh.
Either way, $30,000 wig.
I believe it.
Holy shit.
Wigs are really expensive.
Insane.
And she probably had more than one.
Insane.
Yeah.
$30,000 wig.
I don't know if you know how wigs are made, but you essentially start with like, imagine like a square of like a super
like the mesh.
Tight mesh.
Yeah.
Right? It is very small though. And then you take individual pieces of hair and sew them on.
Yeah. No, like I get
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
but $30,000 is it's wild.
Yeah, it was probably like virgin hair, very high quality.
I mean, probably, yeah. It's just
like
wild.
Custom for her kind of thing.
But yeah, Gail should have died instead of Finnick. That sucked. Let's see. For part 4, President Snow's speech is one of the most fucking hilariously heavy-handed speeches of all time.
During
during the Snow's execution.
Oh yeah.
It is like, oh my god, if you aren't like, there's no way you're walking away with this alive, no matter what. Like you just, it's the most kill me, I'm clearly the one you should kill speech ever.
Yeah.
Like.
I also like when she shoots a coin and he's just like, ha, 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 ha.
But like,
I don't know why. Something about the way he laughs there always makes me laugh.
Like, because there's no way it wasn't the right answer.
To kill coin?
Yeah.
Of course.
Like it's immediately like halfway, if that, through part 4 that you're like, oh, coin also sucks.
Like in part 3, if you will.
It's pretty utilitarian.
When we're first introduced to coin, I'm like, okay, let's see what's happening. And then like as things go along, I feel like by the end of 3, I'm like, I don't know, like I kind of don't like her. And then 4 happens, then you're like, oh yeah, she's also psychotic.
Yeah.
And then once the suggestion of like having another Hunger Games with the Capitol's children, it's like, yeah, this was not the choice.
Wild that she would even think she could suggest that and get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, and
but I guess if you have
Katniss
enough,
only does to get her to think she's on her side.
Right.
Like, wild that you would ever think that the people that didn't want to be in the games a second time and are fighting to stop the games would agree to have them do it again.
Yeah.
Like, that just ends up right where you were.
I mean, yeah.
And I love immediately when she's like, I'm going to be the interim president or whatever.
Everyone's like,
Haymitch immediately is like, for how long is that? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, how long are you the interim president?
Yeah, I'm clocking you, bitch. You get 1 year at the maximum.
And she's like, well, we'll find out for
As
when they're
long as
ready.
it
Yeah.
needs.
And he's like, all right, bitch, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I like, Haymitch is awesome.
Yeah, I really like Haymitch. I kind of wish, like, not shading the movie I haven't even watched yet, but, like, I would really like if there was, like, a book where it's, like, Haymitch's, like, life story or something, because it seems like it would be interesting.
Yeah. Literally, it's funny because every one of these movies, even when they got 3 stars, is like, I have no desire to come back to these movies. Like, sure, it's entertaining enough, but I'm good. Like,
I think I go back to 1 and 2 a lot. I do really enjoy them, and maybe I'm biased because when I read these books, I was the exact target audience for them.
right.
And I really enjoyed the books, and I do think in terms of an adaptation, it's a pretty good and faithful adaptation.
Right.
So because I enjoyed the book so much, these movies, I was like, oh, these movies are basically the book, but, you know, visualized.
Right.
So I really like them, and, like, I'm very attached to this like franchise outside of 3, which I know I keep harping on, but just make Mockingjay one movie.
Well, it's funny because in Mockingjay, I even admit where I'm like, I get the idea of it. Well, I mean, it was split. Let's be real, because of Harry Potter and whatnot. But I get the idea behind splitting it to, like, expand upon the trials and tribulations of the rebels and building the propaganda for their whole revolt.
Right.
Like, I get the idea of expanding on that.
Right.
But the way they expand on that is boring and uninteresting.
I think the main thing that it suffers from is the expansion is boring, but also the expansion is just like
Empty.
Yeah, nothing that, especially in the majority of 3, nothing that happens is really consequential.
Right.
And, like, the characters that we lose throughout 3 for the most part, like her, like, military squad that she's with, aren't really important to the general story.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really care. So you come out of that movie, like, at least for me, when I came out of that movie, when I first watched it in theaters, I didn't come out of it being like, oh, I'm so excited for part 2.
Yeah.
I came out of it being like, why was this a part 1?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see other things. For Catching Fire, literally, I wrote the best part of the movie was the game and watching the people work together. Past that, every other aspect was kind of whatever to me.
Oh, I will say this. I do think if they had gotten to the games just a little bit faster, I think that movie would be better.
Yeah, I agree, because the game is the best part.
The first half
Watching
of the
all of them
movie,
interact with each other and stuff.
The first half of the movie is essentially like playing catch up.
Yeah.
On, like, what's been going on in their lives, which I understand why you have to do that, but also, like, we could have made it just a bit tighter.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying, like, that I mind they spend so much time doing all of that, but just a little less. Instead of, like, an hour, if it was 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess that's thoughts on Hunger Games.
So 3 overall out of 5.
Yeah, all of them got 3s except for part 1, which got a 2.5.
Seems a little generous, but okay.
Because,
I'm just anti part 1.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It might be a 2, but, like, whatever. I don't know. I read it as what I felt when I finished it.
No, I get it.
And, like, again, like, even a 3 feels slightly generous for some of them, but, like, there's nothing bad about them. Like, I believe my 3 is entertaining, but nothing special. So, like, they're entertaining enough to get me through it, I don't find anything particularly interesting about them, but like also I have no desire to go back.
That's fair.
So like I didn't hate my life watching these, but it feels like it like almost that they're kind of like 2.5s to me more than anything else. But it's like it feels too disingenuous to give them a 2.5 than a 3.
Right.
But it's just I have no desire to come back.
They're not bad, but there's nothing striking about them.
Yeah, like if I was ranking all of my movies that I have at 3, they'd be on like the bottom tiers of the 3.
The lower end.
Yeah. But like they'd still kind of get there.
Right.
But yeah, so I feel like for our next couple episodes, the cat's just not going to be here.
Yeah.
It's just going to be if I finished another trilogy, talk about that.
I mean, you could watch the Twilight franchise and we can have a discussion about Twilight.
I don't want to do that alone. That's just my own suffering. I'd rather be able to bullshit about it with somebody.
You can watch. I literally watched all 5 movies without even trying in like a day and a half.
Yeah. Well, I have to finish the Rocky ones. I started the Rocky
That's
thing
fair.
first.
But
so.
they're so fast.
Yeah, well, how far did we get? We got to 3, didn't we?
I think we watched Twilight and New Moon, and I don't know that we
No,
watched
no, you guys didn't even finish New Moon. I finished it the next morning.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's what it was.
How about
you guys left it with like 30 minutes left, and I was like, I am not. Or no, you guys had left, and I finished it that night.
Oh yes, I remember
because
that.
I was like, I am not sitting here and not finishing 30 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'm gonna finish the movie.
But yeah, New Moon is the worst of the bunch.
The movie was pretty bad.
But also, I think I'm just personally biased against New Moon because I also don't like that book as much as the other books, and I don't like Jacob.
I'd have to watch 1 and 2 again. Ugh. Gross.
1 and 5 are the best of the bunch.
Also, for fun fact for the folks at home, I am currently at 124 movies this year. That is a month ahead in terms of days.
How many you want to watch?
Well, yeah, because I want to do a movie a day equivalently.
Oh, okay.
And for January, February, and March, total days is 91. Or 92, I forget exactly. Because it's 31, 29, 31. So I'm already a month ahead. Because April is 120 days. Or 121. So I'm already a month ahead of schedule, which is good. Mostly because of January. I watched like double the movies in January because I was doing the Disney run through.
Oh, right.
So I was just like trying to get through it.
Yeah. And all those movies are like 90 minutes anyway. So
yeah,
you can watch
so
two a night.
It made it very easy to double up in January.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter
of... It's
of...
not really dense content.
Right. And then it's just a matter of kind of keeping up with
guess.
around a movie a day.
That's fair.
So, anyway, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Vaguely Anime Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, comment, follow, whatever. Don't forget to check out Cat the Moonstar on Twitch. You have 1 week to watch episodes up to episode 44 of One Piece. So don't forget to do that. And we'll see you guys next week for the Anime Club. And you will see just the two of us again after Anime Club because we have Cats in Japan for a month. So we're just going to be over recording stuff, and that episode will be recorded later. So, yeah. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.